Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this beautiful talk that I'll be presenting to all of you today. Communication for the Earth, a child environmentalist's perspective. So today we'll be diving into a lot of different things, starting with media, going into using it for Earth, into the misinformation, disinformation, and multiple other topics. But before we get into that, I just wanted to introduce to all of you the role media has played in my life. And I want to use a very simple story. It's very small, but it showcases how media has played a role in the lifestyle of a lot of us and how it translates into the real actions we take. So I was just 2 years old, and much like all the children, I did enjoy watching TV, and I used to watch this season called Peppa Pig. I'm sure a lot of us would have heard about it. Yes, it's been a part of a lot of our childhoods. And in that, I saw this episode where there was this segment of the international travel. So they had to go through immigration and passport and luggage scanning. And somehow I could make sense of it, what was happening. I didn't know the terminologies, but I knew what was happening. And later on, at the age of 2, when I went for my first international travel, my parents didn't have to tell me what to do. I was like, where is my passport? Where is my boarding pass? Where is the security scan? I knew everything. And this is so simple and small, but it shows how as we children really look up to what we see and imbibe it into what we do. And it's not just children. Media is quite intergenerational because we can say our grandparents enjoy watching the news, our parents enjoy watching the TV, and we as children have our own sense of making things, which makes media intergenerational. But today we'll be seeing how we can use this for a greater cause for the Earth. So moving forward, one second. Yes. We'll be going into a very interesting segment that is a global sustainability narrative. So we'll be exploring 3 central sections: a sense of reality, a sense of hope, and a sense of responsibility when it comes to utilizing media. Now, speaking of sense of hope, sense of reality, we'll see how much misinformation and disinformation is taking place in our community and our society, and to what extent. Later in Sense of Hope, we'll explore how my journey of being a child environmentalist with hope has helped impact a better future for all of us. And finally, a sense of responsibility on how, as brands or individuals, media can play a vital role when it comes to sustainability. So let's get started. Let's get started with a sense of reality. Now, in terms of reality, today we all know the climate crisis that we face, as well as the media crisis, where every day there is so much of media being uploaded. I was reading this news where it said that there are nearly 2.4 billion active Instagram users. Active. We're not even talking about those which are inactive. 2.4 billion active Instagram users. That shows the extent till which people are there on social media. But it all comes with its own pros and cons. I'm sorry. So the language of misinformation, right? Climate misinformation. I want to introduce you to 4 central terminologies. I know the screen is not there, but no worries. We can move on. So to 4 central terminologies that I think are going to be very useful when we move on in our conversation. The first one is greenwashing. How many of you have heard about it briefly? Yes, I'm sure a lot of us even know the meaning of it. Greenwashing is practically repackaging. Repackaging especially by brands to make it look more sustainable when it is not. Then there is climate denialism. Denialism, much like what the terminology implies, is about how people deny the presence of climate change and the anthropogenic impacts. People are not ready to accept that climate crisis is actually taking place. Climate denialism, in my opinion, is just so barbaric because I think it's weird that while we all face the impacts, we are not ready to accept it. Then there is science distortion. So science distortion is about practically manipulating scientific facts to make it look more sustainable or to make it look what it isn't. And finally, there is climate obstructionism. So what is this all about? Climate obstructionism is practically, you could say, about delaying climate action. Either generally it's used in politics actually, but it also implies briefly in media. So this is the language of climate misinformation that I think we all should know about, so that even if we don't agree with a brand or we don't agree with what is happening, we are at least able to put it into the right words. So let's have a look at what is actually happening, right, on a global scale. 70% of global social media users have encountered climate misinformation at least once. Now, this showcases two sides of the story. One side of the story is that at what scale this is taking place, and the other side of the story is that people and audience is actually becoming more aware about what is happening. Do you think you all are aware? Do you think you're able to identify if a bit of greenwashing is taking place? Yes, you are? Briefly? Yes? And that is important. We need to increase our awareness level so that we can force brands to change the way they advertise. Now let's come to a sense of hope, because I'm a very positive person and I don't like talking about negative stuff for too long. Because today, as we face this climate crisis, the Anthropocene, the geological age in which human activity has been dominant, it is incredibly vital for each and every one of us to come together and have optimism that there is a future we can look up to. So engagement starts with a story, and every child has one to tell. Because today, as I represent Zen Alpha, I want to tell you a little bit about my story and how my journey started and what exactly I do. So I'm Prasiddhi, I'm from India, I'm 12 years old. This is my second time to COP. I'm the youngest head of delegation present at COP29. And here is a little video about the work that I do. Can we play it? Yes? Is not audible? 1 second. Yes. So that was a little bit about the work that I do as an environmentalist and a social entrepreneur, pretty much my entire childhood, I can say, because I've always admired the power nature has and the potential it has to inspire change. Now, going back to what we were discussing about a sense of hope, why exactly do we even need a sense of hope? Because today, as we face this climate crisis, there is this concept of climate anxiety and eco-anxiety that is becoming incredibly popular. How many of you have heard about it? How many of you think you are anxious about your future? Yes? Yes, I am too. Everyone is, everyone wants a better future. I think that is mutually acceptable. And that is why a study showcases that nearly 67% of young people aged 16 to 25 report feeling extremely worried about the climate crisis. So all these 67% of young people are people like us who have reported that they are worried about the future. But just being worried is not enough, and that is why it's essential for us to have hope. And the reality is that it is good to have hope, because we as young people are a very strong, powerful force. Because by the year 2030, that we all know is the year by which the Sustainable Development Goals have to be achieved, we as young people will be nearly 1.3 billion in population. And that shows how incredibly powerful we will be by that time, and why we should believe in the potential we all have. So, furthermore, talking a little bit more about the power of children and youth, being a child myself, because UNICEF actually found out that nearly 80% of children believe they can make a difference in their communities. So if children can believe that they can make a difference in communities, we all should believe that we can make a difference as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we are changing. We are changing drastically, and it is important that we move on with this change, because there are a couple of other statistics. I'm not gonna fill them up with all of you, but I'll just focus on another one. That is, social media posts from youth advocates are 3x more likely to be shared than those by organizations. And that is why, while I work on ground, I'm also trying to promote it through my climate education platforms and through social media, so that I can cater a much larger group of audience. So finally, for the sense of hope, that is the second segment, I'd like to say that it is time to shift the story and to speak to protect the earth and let the media echo. Because if we believe in ourselves, carry a sense of hope, and are aware about what is happening, media will help promote and exemplify the impacts and the change that we all want to build. Now let's move on to the last segment of my talk. That is a sense of responsibility. How many of you agree that you can talk, you can speak, you can hope, and you can think, but until and unless you don't do, you cannot expect a difference to actually happen? So that is why sense of responsibility is actually one of the most important sections. But because we are focusing on media, here is a little representation of something I found incredibly unique. So over here, you all can see a penguin that isn't in its natural place. It is in a desert. And it shows that climate crisis has landed me in the desert. And you can see it got 1 million likes. It's just a representation. But then later on the other side, we see a statistics posted by an organization, the data of climate threats faced by Arctic animals, and it barely got a few hundred likes. And I'm sure all the young people in the room agree with me that we do not have the span to look at data and to review data and to read reports. All we want is something cool, something exciting, something entertaining, and that shows that we really need to change the way we communicate. While this is a bittersweet truth of attracting audience, especially young, it also shows how vital it is to change the way we communicate. But how do we do that? How do we attract more young people to change the way they think, perceive issues, and act? And that's where media comes back again. So I want to very quickly introduce you to an interesting framework. That is the Media Act Framework Strategy. It isn't a real act, and it wasn't born in any year or written by any government, but it is a strategy that I think can be used by all of us who want to be social influencers or who want to use media as a powerful tool. So it's quite simple. Attract, convince, and triumph. Attraction, I just told you about it. We need to make it more cool. We need to make it more fascinating. And when it comes to convince, we also need to back it up with more powerful data. Because as we understood in sense of reality, that we are becoming aware. As young people, we know what is happening. It isn't that we are misled or can easily be driven towards something that isn't true. So that is why, while we make it attractive, we also need to back it up with facts that can help convince what we want to understand. And finally, I think we can lead to real-time action. We can lead to building a difference. So attract, convince, triumph, and repeat. It's pretty simple, And I think we all can use it because we all as individuals are influencers. Influencers to our friends, influencers to our family, influencers to our organizations. And I think this is a pretty simple framework. How many of you agree? Yes? Will you use it? Yes, you will use it. So before I conclude, there is one last thing that I want to focus on, that is bridging on-ground and online communication for change. Because having have planted 150,000 trees in more than 107 different locations since the age of 4, I believe in the power of real-time impact. And I think that it's incredibly vital to bridge online and on-ground communication for change. So here you can see this screenshot of one of the reels that I had put, and it was very simple. I think it was hardly 15-20 seconds, before we had a time span of 1 minute, then it grew to 30 seconds, now it's becoming 5 seconds, and you need to capture the audience and you need to talk about it. So bridging on-ground and online communication for change, this is a reel that made a real difference. Because when I posted it, later on, this is one of the tree plantations that I'd done, because I have an initiative of building green brigades in 200 plus rural schools of Tamil Nadu, the place where I belong. And over there, I'm giving a free fruit sapling to every child and mobilizing them to take climate action through climate workshops in the local language of Tamil. And I just thought it would be good to share about it with other people on social media. And trust me, I saw that 10 other schools easily reached out to me that they want to do something similar, and not just in the state I am in, but across entire India. In fact, even the Ministry of Tamil Nadu that focuses on Green Tamil Nadu Mission was so happy by it that then later I became the child ambassador for the Green Tamil Nadu Mission of Tamil Nadu. That is the flagship mission that focuses on increasing the green cover of the place I live in. So this shows that how, if we share reels that are true and not just for the sake of entertainment, we can make a real difference possible. So I think my time is about to be up. Yes, that's the timekeeper who ensures that more people get the opportunity to share on this stage. So it was brilliant talking to all of you, and I'd just like to say that it's time to change the narrative. And if you want to join me in my journey of changing the narrative, you can always reach out to me on my email or follow me on social media. I'm always active to connect with all of you and to help make a better difference and a better planet. So before I sign off, I'll just say that it's time that we don't just think out of the box, but act out of the box. And you can reach out to me on prasidhi.official on Instagram or Prasidhi Singh on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, everyone.